Section 18, Fair Housing Investigations, How Good Agents Accidentally Violate the Law. Fair Housing Investigations, How Good Agents Accidentally Violate the Law. The following Monday morning, Ashley walked into the office carrying a printed email. "Michael," she said, "I think I may have made a mistake." Michael looked up from his desk. "What happened?" Ashley handed him the email. "A buyer asked me where the best neighborhood was to raise children. I wasn't sure how to answer, so I didn't." Michael smiled. "You probably made the right decision." David overheard the conversation and walked into the office. "I've seen more fair housing complaints begin with that exact question than almost any other." Ashley looked surprised. "Really? It seems harmless." Michael nodded. "And that's exactly why experienced agents have to be so careful." He explained that the Federal Fair Housing Act, 42 U.S.C. Sections 3601 through 3619, protects consumers from discrimination in residential housing based upon protected characteristics, including race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, and disability. Arizona licensees must also comply with the Arizona Fair Housing Act, ARS Sections 41-1491 through 41-1491.37, which largely mirrors federal law and reinforces the state's commitment to equal housing opportunities. Ashley nodded. "We've already talked about fair housing." Michael smiled. "We've talked about the law. Today we're talking about how good agents accidentally violate it." He placed several investigation files on the conference room table. Almost every one of these agents believed they were helping. David laughed. None of them woke up planning to discriminate. Michael opened the first file. A young family asked their realtor, "Which neighborhood has the best schools?" "I get that question all the time." "So do I," Michael replied. "The problem isn't the question, it's how you answer it." He explained that steering buyers toward or away from neighborhoods based upon assumptions about schools, families, religion, ethnicity, safety, or demographics can create significant fair housing concerns. Rather than offering personal opinions, licensees should direct consumers to objective third-party resources and allow buyers to decide which communities best meet their needs. Ashley asked, "So I shouldn't recommend neighborhoods?" Michael smiled. "You should recommend information, not locations." David nodded. "I tell clients, I'd be happy to show you any area you'd like to consider. Let me provide resources that allow you to compare neighborhoods, schools, crime statistics, transportation, and community services so you can decide what's most important to you." Ashley smiled. "That feels much safer." "It is," Michael replied. He opened another investigation file. This one involved social media. Ashley looked interested. "What happened?" The agent created a Facebook advertisement. It said, "Perfect home for young families." Ashley paused. "I've seen advertisements like that." "So have I," Michael replied, "but language that suggests a preference for certain types of buyers may create fair housing concerns. The safest advertising describes the property, not the type of person who should live there." David added, "Market the house, never market the people." Michael continued, "The Fair Housing Act doesn't only prohibit refusing to sell or rent, it also prohibits discriminatory advertising, different terms, different services, steering, blockbusting, misrepresenting availability, and unequal treatment during the transaction." Ashley looked thoughtful. "So fair housing isn't just about saying no." "Exactly. It's also about treating everyone the same." Michael then described another common situation. A seller tells you, "I don't want to sell to that family." Ashley looked uncomfortable. "What do you do?" Michael answered immediately. "You explain that neither you nor the brokerage can participate in illegal discrimination. If the seller insists on violating fair housing laws, the brokerage should immediately become involved." David nodded. "Remember, your fiduciary duty to your client never requires you to violate federal or Arizona law." Michael continued, "I've reviewed fair housing investigations where the agent never intended to discriminate. They simply answered questions based upon personal opinions. They assumed they were helping. They didn't document conversations. And unfortunately, their words were interpreted very differently by the consumer." Ashley smiled. "I guess today's lesson is really about choosing words carefully." Michael nodded. Fair housing investigations often begin with conversations, not contracts. He explained that licensees should avoid subjective descriptions of neighborhoods, comments regarding the types of people who live in an area, predictions about future demographic changes, assumptions regarding disabilities, or statements suggesting certain buyers would be happier in one neighborhood than another. Instead, provide objective facts. Recommend independent resources. Let consumers decide. David smiled. You know what I tell new agents? Ashley laughed. What? You're licensed to sell real estate. You're not licensed to choose neighborhoods for people. Everyone laughed. Michael closed the investigation file. One careless sentence can become years of litigation, but one professional conversation can protect both your client and your license. Ashley closed her notebook. So fair housing isn't about memorizing laws. Michael smiled. No, it's about respecting every person's right to choose where they want to live and making sure our own opinions never interfere with that decision. Real-world Arizona example. An Arizona licensee was working with a relocating family who asked, "Where's the best neighborhood to raise children?" Hoping to help, the agent recommended 2 communities based on personal opinions about schools and the number of families living nearby. Another buyer later alleged that the agent had steered consumers towards certain neighborhoods while discouraging others. Although the licensee insisted there was no intent to discriminate, the complaint resulted in a fair housing investigation, mandatory legal representation, and significant emotional stress. The case reinforced that good intentions do not eliminate fair housing liability when objective standards are replaced by personal opinions. Broker tip: the safest answer to neighborhood questions is to provide objective resources, not subjective recommendations. Direct clients to school district websites, municipal resources, crime data published by government agencies, census information, and community websites. Your role is to provide facts, not to influence where someone chooses to live. Online discussion question 1. Why can well-intended advice still create a fair housing complaint? Model answer. Fair housing laws focus on the effect of a licensee's actions, not just the intent. Personal opinions or recommendations may unintentionally influence housing choices or appear to steer consumers based on protected characteristics. Question 2. How should a licensee respond when asked, "Where is the best neighborhood for my family?" Model answer. Rather than recommending neighborhoods, the licensee should provide objective resources and allow the client to determine which community best meets their individual needs and preferences. Why is documenting conversations and maintaining consistent service standards important in fair housing compliance? Model answer. Consistency demonstrates that all consumers receive the same professional service, reducing the risk of discrimination claims and providing evidence of fair and equal treatment if questions arise later.